Again, it's cool. I'm just some random thing. And so like that happened, and like there's been like a major void in our industry because she had the tool, but she didn't have the sales ability and the marketing ability, because she was just like a banker, and it sounded great as a banker, finances and loans and figuring out stuff for housing and like college students, but like you got to be bored and just like
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready to start. Please grab a seat if you're here with Founders Lounge. We are so happy to have you today. Christian Johnson, take it away.
Welcome to Founders Lounge, everybody. This is our very first Founders Lounge Summit. So we started Founders Lounge in January of this year. It was kind of a response to Cafe ending, and we wanted to create a space for founders that are building businesses to help them get resources and also just really community. So we started bringing speakers from out of town to speak and help you actually get resources that you need. So like I said, this is our first yearly summit. We have two amazing speakers, Josh Sample and Adam Shaw. They're going to be talking about sales, marketing, and really kind of just giving you guys some tips to help grow your company. Also, we do have our startup our founders grant. Yes. So that's $1,000 thanks to Drive Social Media. They have been a great partner to us, and so they matched our $500. So tonight we're going to be announcing 3 finalists that will pitch at the end of this month live. And so when we actually started this, we put the grant up, Drive Social Media match, and then other VCs actually requested to be a part of it as well. So they will be a part of the pitch and also judging the pitch competition as well. Also, disclaimer: I am not part of the selection process. So a couple of you asked me already, like I'm not part of the selection process. So I don't know who the finalists are, and I will do that in a few minutes. Housekeeping. Please make sure that you sign in at the front right there. We've had some complications today as far as the space, so we're just making do with what we have today. But free drinks at the bar for a while, for a few hours. And 5:30 we're about to start with Adam Shaw, and then 6:30 will be Josh Sample. So I think that's it as far as housekeeping. I'm going to turn it over to Katie, who's going to introduce Adam.
Yes, everyone. So Adam Shaw is with us. He's with Marketing for Founders, which helps founders get into marketing and learn how to market without spending a fortune. And actually, he's the one covering the bar tab tonight, so if anybody can and help yourself to the bar. Should we take it away?
Yeah, I'm super competitive, so I want to spend more than Josh on it, so try to bring over Also, if you're far away, come in here, because I'm not really very good at
Mobilizing.
Yeah, I usually speak in front of a microphone on the internet, so I usually just talk like this.
Can I give you a compliment?
Yeah.
So, before you give the talk, my company's only founder-led sales because Adam Shaw taught me how to run email campaigns, do a pipeline. I'm only closing deals right now because you gave me a process of how to qualify, disqualify. Sometimes you're gonna get no. That's okay. Try to figure out why and keep moving. And also, just because they say no doesn't mean you can't sell them next year.
Yeah.
And I'm really thankful for you because almost 12,000 in sales in the last 12 months, and most of it was in that period after I learned from you on how to run an effective marketing and sales campaign.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, kudos.
how do I create like a message for my buyers? And I have like a little slide deck where I'm doing that. And what I usually do, I do this a couple times a month, every month, is I get about 50 founders together on LinkedIn, and I just ask questions. I usually bring somebody with me to do it, like somebody in sales, somebody in tech, and we answer them together. So I kind of want to have this be an open forum, right? If you're a technical founder, not a marketing founder, what's bothering you? Like what's stopping you from doing what you want to do? You made an amazing product. Why isn't it in more people's hands?
Okay, that's awesome.
Well, I am the national secretary.
Okay.
So that's one thing. And then another thing is that I'm just right now we're having a proof of concept. And it's only me.
Okay.
So I will have a team to market, to promote, to do of the other things that are required for business. So that
Yeah.
secret site is not out.
Okay. So where do you start? Is kind of what I'm hearing. What do I do? Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So proof of concept, that like like product market fit stage is kind of where most founders, they go have an amazing product and it never gets anywhere. They have to go back get a job and it sucks, right? It's like that's literally create a list. Like, the first thing you do is just identify like 500 people to talk to. I like using Sales Navigator on LinkedIn. I think it's like $100 a month or something.
What's the name?
Sales Navigator. It's like LinkedIn's tool, like outbound marketing tool, basically. It lets you like go and find all the different people and play with the filters. You know, create what we call the ICP, right? The ideal customer profile, and put it directly into Sales Navigator. So I use Sales Navigator like several hours a day, so I can like see the filters. But there's filters on the left that have the role that they're in, the company they work for, the size of the company, even things like how often they post on LinkedIn, what else are they doing on LinkedIn. And what I would do if I'm you is I'd literally go in there and say, all right, people who work for companies that are, who are you selling to actually first of all? Obviously, just put it in the filters.
My educational platform is for teachers, specialists, children,
Okay.
learning disabilities,
Yeah.
teaching them site work.
So the buyer is going to be like some sort of superintendent or something, right?
Yeah.
So what I would do is go on LinkedIn and filter for United States superintendents, and then see how many of them are posting on LinkedIn. There's a little toggle that literally says like if they post on LinkedIn in the last 3 months. You want to click that because you don't want to send a bunch of messages to people who haven't logged into their LinkedIn in like 5 years, right? Which sucks. Because you only have 150 messages a week on LinkedIn that you can send out like that. So, and then see what you look. What you want to have is a list probably like a little under 400 people. Anything more than that just becomes a lot. And start just adding some more things. So think like, all right, how many people work at this company? So you do want to hit big. So on there, obviously, the company's likely going to be like a full, school district. So are you hitting small school districts with, under 1,000 employees, or do you want to hit like huge metro school districts with like 10,000 plus employees? That's the question you have to figure out and ask yourself. And one way to get into that is say like, all right, like what is the actual like stress that these teachers are using, these superintendents are experiencing that would make you want to buy it? Is that a stress that's going to be more likely if they are very much overworked, so they have to oversee way too many people? Is it a stress where I'm underfunded, so maybe a little bit more aligned with a very small rural school district? So that's a little bit ambiguous, but you'll be able to kind of make decisions around like how big of the company is that you can go after. This is applicable to anybody's company, right? Like really dig into the stress that is present in these people's lives because of the problem they're experiencing, and try to figure out like, is that a stress people are feeling in big companies, small companies, companies with a lot of revenue, companies with little revenue, right? So a really tangible thing for me is like people in large companies who experience the stress I fix. The stress I fix is I don't know how to do marketing. What do I do? Right? Somebody help me or my business is gonna fail. Big companies don't have that problem. They have a CMO and probably dozens of marketers, right? If they have 1,000 employees, those are my people I want to talk to. So get that list and very simply just send them a message of, hey, I'm building this tool that helps people do this thing. What do you think? Very very, very simple. If they come back to you and say, hey, yeah, I think that's really interesting, or no, or whatever it might be, use that, and then when you go and you have a little bit clearer vision, or maybe like a landing page or something, like a little bit more tangible, send that back to them and say, hey, when we originally talked, does this cover what you were thinking? Another way to do this is to create a piece of content, and this is very like, oh, just go make content. It's hard to do, right? So create a piece of content that is very relevant to the problem you solve. And send that to them. Say, hey, I wrote this guide about how to fix this problem that my product also solved. If they go, hey, that was really helpful, why was that helpful? You know, is this a problem you're like actively fixing right now? What's out? What are you using to fix that? And you can just kind of dig into these problems they're having. And a lot of people will like empty their entire like stress out on you. Like, I get responses back when I send out my content back, like several paragraphs of why they are having a hard time doing marketing and they're like freaking out. And I send out a calendar link for a sales call, and it's like, as soon as I get a response back like that, I'm like, oh, I got it. They're gonna pay me without it. So that's something that takes a lot of time to like figure out, but the first thing is just get something to send to them. Create the list, get something to send to them, and just start talking to them. You're not gonna hurt your brand or like your personal image or anything, realistically, because you don't have one. If you're a startup, right? Like nobody cares about you, and if you bother them and they don't like it, they're gonna continue to not care about you, which is like totally fine. You're in the same exact situation you were in right before you messaged them. So, or they like you a lot and they start to like you, and that's
Now, before we go any further, just really quick, obviously Founders Launch is to help people regardless of where they're at in their business stage to help develop themselves. So obviously people are in very different facets and industries of this, but also maturity stages at the same time. And we want you to get that individualized advice and experience through that, but additionally we want to give our presenters each a chance to come and present what they have prepared for the day at the same time. So we will have a time for Q&A sessions. We will obviously have a chance for networking at the same time. So Adam, just to get the ball rolling and popping back into things, for people just starting out their own business, getting that beginning stage and wanting to market for the first time, is what are those key factors that you need in place as an infrastructure before you ever present yourself as needing the market for the first time?
I mean, I like what Adam did because like she got her support.
but yeah, I mean, I think Q&A is the best way to go about this because I had a deck and we're not doing it. So let's keep rocking this. I think a lot of people probably have that exact problem that you had, right? Like finding people to talk to and then giving them something to make them want to talk to you back.
And that was me. That was me.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
So I think that part for me I've pretty much covered. Like I've been able to use Sales Navigator, reach out to people, have something interesting to say, get very good responses and meetings and stuff. I think my problem really comes down to, I guess I could call it just the confidence level of coming out as a thought leader or feeling like I'm able to just pump out content without feeling like I'm repeating myself.
You should repeat yourself.
Oh, I know. I'm saying that's the obstacle.
You're the only person who sees every piece of
That's the
content.
obstacle. That's what I'm saying from my perspective. That's the obstacle.
Yeah.
I'm feeling. And so I'm asking, what are some of the ways that you've been able to help some of these founders overcome that?
So, talk about like the confidence problem. Like, you have a lack of confidence about repetition. Like, why is that affecting your confidence level?
I mean, I think just putting out content in general for me is something that I tend not to do even on my social, like personal social media. I just tend not to like post stuff. So I think maybe like I don't have a problem like getting on stage and talking, in person, but when it's online, it just feels very. It might be a commitment issue, honestly, where it's like feeling like you're putting out a piece of content, publishing it. It's very like final. Obviously, I'm sure I'm overthinking it because someone brings a piece of content. What?
Is it perfectionism?
It's definitely perfection. Yeah, perfectionism has a big part to play.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're nervous about putting out content, maybe you need to designate a certain number of minutes a day that you go in and you comment on other people's stuff.
Yeah.
So engage with other people where they are, where you can show your expertise by commenting on their stuff and start that engagement and that.
And if you have a comment that they really like get turn to a customer. Really just turn to a
I was just going to add also, about 2 years ago, I decided that I wanted to start a voice online and create a public image. So I actually asked Adam how to do that because he was already writing one for a few months. And he told me, just start writing. Every person is frankly shit at the beginning. Look at every person and just look at where they started, look at where they are now. My writing has come eons in 2 years.
So can I one thing that Adam is really good at, like, it's gonna sound like insult, but it's not. But Adam doesn't give a damn, and so because he sees so many startups, he sees so many different kinds of people, and like that cognitive distance away from your product and a session with you, he will be able to take that and get to the meat exactly what you need to say, and give you like a brand sales guide. And like, okay, if you give them the ICPs, you give them that like paragraph, and you're like, okay, shit, man, this is how I would say it. And like, you know what I mean? And like, that's like really, it's like really good. I mean, because I was a guy that was a researcher, and I have a research background. So like, you know, now I can say stuff very simple, very easily, and like pick up sales. Now we have a problem that transforming our trial period with enterprise customers into, you know, this letter of intent. And from like this like 6 month period with hundreds of users for them and hundreds of applications, and like going from, okay, they said yes, they said this, now we got to get to the procurement person, but oh my god, then you got to get to the individual manager, and then you have to talk to the owner, and you have to go into this complicated buyer relationship.
That's a really good point. And I got both of you, but I want to answer one. I want to finish answering this question. One of the things that I like to do is distill the content down to 3 questions to help you really figure out, like, all right, what am I going to write? Or what am I going to do a video on? What is it? What is a piece of content? It's a step-by-step guide to help. I'll just use like a piece of content and reset it really well. A step-by-step guide to help founders do marketing on Reddit. Who's it for? It's for founders who do not know how to market and need a step-by-step process to help them. Like, very simple. Okay, just very. And then what are they going to get out of this? And that's tactically where I go and say, if somebody had never seen whatever it is to get into them, so Reddit, what are they going to get? Like, what are they going to need? It's, well, they need to create a profile. What's that profile look like? They need to do a post. Well, what's that post look like? They need a comment. You just go step by step down. Like, if this person never. So for you, I would say that like a guide around how to do customer research or how to do buyer research would be really cool. But even to still that down to something specific within the buyer research, because you're selling, I know your product is actually told me about it, but you're selling to somebody who's a highly, probably better at doing this stuff than you are.
That's part of the content.
So find out a really, really specific part of that customer research thing and say, okay, I'm going to show them how to do that. Because a salesperson or a head of sales, a CRO, something like that, who says like, hey, I'm having a really hard time with understanding how to connect activities that people are doing to a sales conversation. That's such a tiny little piece of the pie, but it's critical. I don't know how to do it, but you know how to do it. So write that down, put it in people's inboxes, and if somebody says that's really helpful, you go, well, my product's really helpful too. It does the exact same thing. You want to talk? Like, it turns into how much are you willing, or do you want more of this, and are you willing to pay for it? Well said. What's going on, dude? How you doing? Well, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay. You first? Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I have heard you refer to the traction that you get in the LinkedIn space. I think you were sort of talking about being kind of founded in that exposure landscape, I guess I'll call it for this purpose. One of my big challenges is the idea of where to trust my intellectual property, the respect of ownership and autonomy with content and verbiage and stuff like that. I think like LinkedIn is sort of like what I would call grandma and grandpa's house. It's sort of safe, it's not super dynamic, but it's kind of conservative enough that you can be assured of what's happening in there. It's not too tricksy, you know?
So you're afraid of giving away too much of the house?
It's not so much afraid, it's just like I don't want to invest in encouraging a community to meet me somewhere and then to find the place shut down because of something you know, and it's hard to say what that might be. So,
Where is the somewhere?
no, well, I don't
Give me
know.
like actually like, explain like a real situation. 'Cause I don't know.
Okay, like a real world scenario that's, okay, I appreciate the time. Let me think. If you felt like what you were trying to make people aware of was something that was abrasive
Yeah.
to the technology community at large, and that infrastructure is what provides you the platform to speak, where do you feel would be the safer places to invest the town square?
Yeah, so
Like
there's-
Lincoln, I think is conservative, yada
Yeah,
yada.
LinkedIn's good. I think I use Reddit a lot. Reddit's a really good place to be. There's also a great website called the Hive Index. It's like beehive.hiveindex.com. And it's a list of, I think now they have like over 1,000 communities on there. That includes Facebook groups, Reddit, subreddits, LinkedIn groups, Slack groups. I use that to do as much custom research as I can when I work with founders. It's one of the first things we do together is dig into the Hive Index because it's just like, hey, what communities are out there?
Do you, pardon me, do you set filters as you entree into that space?
Yeah, it's so you really just like hit search, like, well, what's your product?
Technology awareness, training awareness.
Okay, so what you would do is potentially go into there and say like, all right, I want to talk to tech founders maybe or something like who buys your product.
Sure, go with that.
Yeah, okay. You really just type in founders, and it would give you a list of all the communities that founders spend time in. On Reddit, on Facebook, on Slack groups, on Discord. I'm in a ton of Discord groups that are founders. So that's an awesome website. It's just like the fastest way. Also, if you type in like founders Reddit, just see what people are talking about in Google. Just founders Reddit.
Right on. And on the outro, how much time a day do you spend keeping track of your communities you're connected to?
A couple hours a week, probably. I would do more. I'm just not out of time. I would love to spend 2-3 hours a day on the communities since I get a lot of business.
Are you too busy in the real world to be doing that?
I mean, that is my real one. I make a lot of
Good.
money. I make a lot of money. That's my real one. But
Good,
yeah,
good, good, good.
I'm too busy, I guess, doing the work that I've gotten from it usually nowadays. So, yeah, that's sadly the process right now.
Can I ask you a question piggyback on that?
Okay.
Never mind.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you is, earlier the terminology of product-led growth and the other side of marketing-led growth. What I wanted to hear from you is maybe kind of your take on how you define those terms, and maybe what might be a non-obvious or non-typical take that you take on those terminology and how they fit together. And also, in both of these days, a lot of people look for kind of freemium type of engagement pathway. What are some things that you would suggest to startups at the stage that when they first engage, you set up expectations, right? Yeah. And so what's something that you would say that needs to be set that really engagement you can take out of the freemium mode and actually open your product or pick up your product?
Yeah, so there's, right, you probably know this, so product-led growth, there's usually two things you charge for, right? Access to more features or access to users. So you have to understand exactly what, like, are you charging, like, think of, there's a company called Apollo that is a, like, lead search website, right? You get access, I believe you get access to everything at their lowest price and free, but you only get a certain amount of search credits to find people. So they gate usage versus a HubSpot, like a CRM, where you have to buy more and more pieces of it. You get marketing, parking, sales pricing, and depending on what that is kind of like, so for your usage person, you want to show people how to use the most of your product because you want them to get the end of that usage as fast as humanly possible, but also have gotten so much value out of it. They say, yeah, I need to buy $100 a month tokens or whatever you call it, usage units, versus product-led growth on a feature side of things where you need to somehow show a connection to all these features, or you can do it the scumbag and HubSpot does it and find like the ultra critical feature from the other part behind another section. But having this an amazing experience for them, whether they get like an email drip chain, or if you have the chops person the time to do it, having just a really great in-app onboarding experience, those people are going to buy because of comfort before they buy comfort, right? Wow, this app isn't really going to give me everything, but I feel really good using it. That's going to be huge. If your product-led growth, like your design has to be just like next level, right? My business model is product-led growth, even though it's more service-oriented. My free stuff is so good we want to pay for it, not free stuff, right? And so we're introducing a middle ground. It's the same idea, but all that stuff has to be such high value, right? Like I've spent thousands of dollars on nice cameras and microphones because if I'm going to charge somebody $100 to take a course with me or a workshop that costs $900. The content's always going to be good, but goddamn, the image better be perfect, and the microphone better be awesome. If I'm getting on there and I'm looming over the laptop with this image here, and like I'm talking to people, they probably won't notice, but they probably won't come back. Versus like, you listen, think when you listen to a podcast, you like podcasts that sound good. And even like the titty ones, like they have good information, but you're not like, I'm not going to listen to the way that work every day because it's kind of like, same idea. It's just the value of the design of how cool it looks really means a lot. It's comfort. People buy comfort and they buy feeling relieved of their stress. And if you can facilitate that emotion in several ways, not just in like the actual application of the product, but in the way that they're experiencing it, you're going to be in good shape.
That was amazing. Thank you.
Do LinkedIn impressions mean anything? And if they do, how do you think?
Yeah, maybe. It depends. So it's something that you'll learn over time. So I work with a couple of startups who their target audience is like 1,000 people in the country. So impressions don't matter. Like it's a company. This one I'm thinking of specifically, a company that sells automation software to renewable energy producers, so that they can automate their regulatory compliance data stream. There's like literally 1,000 people in maybe the world that even need the product, and they have a 50% market share already. So they don't care about how many people see it, so they don't mind. Whereas for me, impressions are a huge, huge factor in my business. How many early stage founders doing $110,000 a year are there in the world? Like a lot of people. Right? We got a lot of people listening that are in that situation. And so for me, if I'm not getting impressions, I'm like, oh, that's not good. Because it's going to trickle down to engagements. Because the way that I go after, the way that I use LinkedIn is if somebody engages meaningfully or posts about it, I get them in a conversation. I push them through a pipeline of conversations, and I get them in a meeting. I need those people to talk to me and like say, raise their hand in some way and say, this was useful to me. So it's kind of a cop out to say it depends. So.
Because I do a podcast every week, and the last few have gotten over 700 impressions. I would love to be able to turn those into phone calls.
Yeah, so the way to turn it into phone calls the other day is just having a really clear call to action. And be perfect. Yes, if you do one podcast a week, you need to be posting like twice a day. The exact same stuff. Because people need to hear it over and over and over and over again. Now, if your podcast does say the same thing over and over again, then you're probably okay, but if your podcast has like fresh content every single week, you can't just post that every time. So that's never gonna like get in. I have my most successful piece of content for me is a marketing founders, Reddit marketing for founders, Reddit marketing for B2B founders. It's made me probably $60,000 in 3 months. And I posted about that every day for like 45 days. I really took it and just rewrote it to several different posts. I created carousels for it. I started spending $50 a day on it to promote it. Now I spend $400 a day behind it because it makes so much money. It's like, just go, right? You need to just keep going. Like, you need to hit that piece of content over and over again. Because if it's only 700 impressions, but your total audience that you think you hit is 7,000 people, you probably need to post that 20 times, if not more, to get everybody to see it in your audience.
That's good advice.
Yeah. And that's a piece of repeatability, right? Saying the same thing over and over again. Like, I think that's a good thing. If you're one piece of content, you just mindlessly reproduce every day. It's like, that's easy.
And then software like HubSpot allows you to schedule the
Well, when I say repeat, I wouldn't say like copy and paste, but rewrite it slightly. So it's the same message in the format over and over again.
And take excerpts from it and post those as comments on other people's.
Exactly. That's how I do Reddit, right? So Reddit for me is a really good channel because a lot of people ask me, it's where people go anonymously to ask help. So their questions are more intimate, right? You know, I don't think I'm going to be able to make enough money to continue running my startup because of this problem. It's already helping. And you can write huge responses and they love that. It's super helpful for them. And then you can take that content and put it on LinkedIn. What I've found is that like Reddit, for example, is about a month ahead of LinkedIn in their questions. The questions I see on Reddit start coming up as brags on LinkedIn. I've written about this several times where LinkedIn is for bragging, Reddit's for asking for questions about new things. Nobody's bragging about things they've never done before, right? So they're asking them on Reddit and they do them for a month. Wow, that was amazing, we're going to brag about it on LinkedIn. Yeah, so an example itself is literally like Reddit marketing. I started getting a bunch of customers late last year because of writing about how to do marketing on Reddit. And then I started seeing it pop on LinkedIn like a month and a half later. And that's when I decided, oh, I'm just going to write my guide. I literally written the guide on this for myself. So I might as well just like start saying it. People love it. It's like, you can go and look at my profile, you'll see it. It's got like 600 comments or something like that. Now it's got like, I've been putting money behind it, so it's not organic, but they're really good.
So, how are you able to, especially on like social media, when there's so many, you know, you're constantly seeing new people posting new things. Like, how do you get a sense of the lay of the land? You know, or feel like you're not caught off guard or something? Is there anything to that, or?